There are moments that surprise and delight the mind and the senses. Introducing Sound Art, the world's first truly customizable, concealed, flat panel art speaker system. A revolutionary combination of incredible sound delivered from your most meaningful pictures. When art and technology intersect, there is a seamless blend of creativity and function.
I'm alive in the streetlight, pulling at the stars in the moonlight. Every time I feel you close.
With Sound Art, anyone can print their own artwork or pick from numerous licensed artwork that we have. The possibilities are limitless. Enjoy beautiful and amazing sound throughout your home. The entire surface of your artwork generates incredibly robust sound. Your art never sounded so good.
Live from virtual Fort Worth, Texas, we welcome race fans one and all to round number 4 of the iRacing Stock Car Association Tucson Sound Art Cup Series and the Trader Joe's 250 from the Texas Motor Speedway. Hello and welcome one and all. My name is Nola Rempel, and I have got one Alfonso Nixon beside me in the broadcast booth with Rob Melnick. Once again, down behind the cameras as always, for tonight's presentation. So while we swing back to the mile and a half, and it's a track and a race length that is a little bit longer than we're used to seeing on some of these mile and a halves, right? Usually we see 200-mile races on these 1.5-mile tracks, around 134 laps, but 167 and 250 miles today means it is going to be a long race. But if the Butt Kicker Series race that we saw just 3 nights ago is anything to go by, it's still going to be a fun one.
And a fun race it is definitely going to be, because this is a track where, depending on your setup and your aptitude, you could actually run full pace around this thing for quite a few laps. So I think if drivers can actually find their rhythm, find their groove, stay away from the 3-wide, 4-wide conditions, we could actually have ourselves a great race, Nolan.
It should be a very solid race indeed for us here tonight. You got yourself 167 laps about to get underway, and even when both stages come to a close at laps 35 and 70, you're still going to be seeing over 90 laps of racing left to go, and with the fuel window around 46 laps in length, this of course means that it could end up being a game about fuel strategies in that final stage after the conclusion of lap number 70. Qualifying is presently underway as we get set to go racing into the evening. It's currently just about to hit the top of the hour at 6 o'clock p.m. in sim time. So we are going to be racing under the lights here at the Texas Motor Speedway. And with this, of course, you can see the track temperatures a little bit chillier as well, with it being January 13th in sim. 72 degrees Fahrenheit, but the winds, definitely something to keep an eye out for tonight, Al. Up to the north, about 9 miles an hour. There's some pretty strong winds these cars are going to have to contend with tonight.
Yeah, depending on where that wind hits you, when either you're coming down the back stretch or the front stretch, it'll actually, you're going to see that save not only some time off the clock, but also it might affect the handling of the cars a little bit. So the most exciting thing is going to be if we can actually make it all the way to that third and final stage and possibly have some good green flag pit stops, because, one caution is going to throw that pit strategy completely out the window.
And, of course, 1 minute left to go here in qualifying for the Trader Joe's 250, and it is going to be one exciting race for us here tonight. In the Butt Kicker Cup Series race, just a few nights ago, we saw drivers going 2-3 wide constantly. We never saw we never saw fewer than 8 or 9 cars in at least the lead train, so it is going to be a race full of entertainment nonstop right through to the checkered flag. And, of course, they were not willing to let each other breathe for a second throughout the entire 2-hour event a few nights ago, Al, which means, of course, it is still going to be just as intense, if not more so, coming into the night.
Yeah, absolutely. And this isn't a track where you can actually lift and expect to not lose. Lifting just a little bit here is going to set you back. So yeah, I think drivers are going to keep their nose down, and it's just going to give us some great race.
And with qualifying drawing to a close with just a few seconds left, why don't we take a quick step away? We'll be back in just a few moments with your Tucson Sound Art starting grid. But for now, it's time for the national anthem.
The night time is the right time. Remember what I told all my drivers? Reach up there and pull those belts tight one more time. Drivers, start your engines!
So starting on pole position here for your Tucson Sound Art starting grid is going to be none other than Chris Severa, with Josh Schaffner starting beside him on that front row. On row number 2, you've got two of the JBR drivers, including Richard Elliott as well as Adrian Watts. And from there, Don Avery rounds out your top 5, with Frank Flores, the first shake and bake driver, down in the 6th position. Bear Gutpold is going to be starting in the row behind his teammate down in 7th, with G&G driver Chris Johnson down in 8th. And of course, it is podium finisher Al Kozlowski in 9th place for the Butt Kicker Cup Series, with Eric Kling rounding out your top 10, Al.
Wayne Grassy is going to be in the 11th place with Kenny Powell in 12th. Joshua O'Connor will be in 13th with Robert Pattengale in 14th. Jay Hone in 15th with John Mullins in 16th. Paul Olson and Ken Allen round out your 18-car field as we get set to go green racing here at the Texas Motor Speedway.
Let's take a look down at the point standings while we're waiting for the pace car to lead this field of 18 cars strong off. Chris Severa, of course, with a win and 2 top 5s so far on the season, sitting in first place, 10 points ahead of Adrian Watts. Both drivers up in the top 5. So looking to potentially have a bit of a change of the guard, maybe in the battle for the points lead at the end of this race. I know Greg Wyszynski not making a start tonight. He is going to find himself out of this race. He is your 3rd place runner in the points, sitting 20 points back. So he's going to be finding himself with a bit of a rough ride, trying to work his way up and through this field. 2 other drivers that are not going to be present tonight that we usually see on the Saturday Night Cup Series, Ryan Cliver and Noah Bitts, both of them down with the Omicron variant for the time being. So we wish a good recovery and a good speedy recovery to both of those drivers. You see Bitts starting down in 7th place when it comes to the point standing. So this is going to be devastating for his bid to try to go for a Tucson Sound Art Championship.
Yeah, but that's really going to play in the Barrick Uphold's favor because, here he is getting a chance to not only run some races here as a rookie into this series, but also maybe to climb up into the points a little bit.
As the pace car gets set to lead this field of 18 cars strong around the back straightaway and towards the start of this race, you have to wonder, how early are we going to be seeing these guys taking it a bit more aggressively than you think might be best for them? Because it didn't take them very long in the Thursday night series. And in fact, you had yourself with a caution flag, I believe, before we were even 20 laps through this race. And with how tightly packed together all of these drivers are with this new high downforce, low horsepower package that these next-gen cars currently utilize, what do you think we can potentially expect from these opening 35 laps in the first stage?
Well, I'll tell you what, a whole lot of positions are going to be won and lost. And unfortunately, this race isn't going to be 200 laps for everybody. You know, somebody isn't going to make it even through the top 10 laps maybe. I think we're going to see these guys get a little bit closer to comfort as they're going to be jockeying for those positions, because if you're not out front where that good air is, man, you're really going to be in the back. So I think we're going to put the hammer down a little bit and try to jockey for that position.
Pace car is down into the pit road. We thank all of our viewers for joining us on a Saturday night. It's going to be in the hands of Chris Severa as we say, let's go racing from the Texas Motor Speedway.
And here we are as the drivers are getting ready to head into turn one. Turn one is an awesome turn, but when these tires are cold, drivers aren't always actually able to accelerate all the way through. But you want to go ahead and get that good run coming off of 2 down the backstretch. So we'll be able to see now, once drivers get into turns 3 and 4, how this is going to shake out.
The top 2 already breaking away. Schaffner trying to chase down Severa. It'll be the number 62 Aflac machine to lead the way. Out of turn number 4, Richard Elliott picks up 3rd place from one car down in 4th. That, of course, is Don Avery. Frank Flores moving his way up in 5th place, but pushing wide through turn 1 across the nose of Adrian Watts. He's got teammate Barrick Uppold trying to go with him up the inside, and there is Al Kozlowski down at the moment in about the 8th position, side by side with Chris Johnson. Al worked his way up, fought his way from 19th in the Thursday night race to work his way all the way up and finish 3rd on the podium. Had a race-winning car, but wasn't quite able to pull it together in the dying laps of the Trader Joe's 250 for the Butt Kicker Cup Series 3 nights ago. You already see that 88 car looking to go on the offensive early on.
Yeah, Al's really not going to want to sit back. He's going to want to go ahead and get that car up in that good air and actually find himself to get up front, because he understands that, you don't have a whole lot of time to figure out what you're going to do. Because some of these guys have got great setups. So that march to the end to get those valuable stage points, you might want to go ahead and start trying to figure out how that's going to look now.
You see the 88 car looking up the inside of Barrick Uppold in his Bucky's 92 Mustang. And so far, Kozlowski able to work that inside line with the fresh tires. That is not going to last as this race goes along. And Uppold has got to find a hole to tuck back into that inside line. Adrian Watts filled it. Now Wayne Grossi will do the same. Oh, trouble front straightaway. Richard Elliott going around into the infield grass and coming back up on cars, and he gets drilled by Paul Olson.
Poor Paul Olson's just going to hate that. Unfortunately for you, once you get out of shape there and you're going to cross that grass, you're just really along for the ride. So there's really nothing he could do. Just an unfortunate set of circumstances. But like I said,
just dumped him right out of turn 4. Al just ran over Richard Elliott in the 0-2, and you watch as Elliott already had the tires locked up, and there's just nowhere for Paul Olson to go. You just backed off from Eric Klain, but you have so little time to react to a wreck like that. Ken Allen was also lucky to just manage to get away from that whole incident. We'll look on board with Paul Olson now throughout this whole mess. You're going to watch out of the left front corner there of the windscreen as he comes out of turn number 4, and you can already see Richard Elliott spinning through the infield up onto the track. And where are you supposed to go in that situation? I mean, the racing line cuts right across the middle of the track. Richard Elliott just came to stop in the worst possible place.
Yeah, he was actually occupying 75% of that lane. So unfortunately for Olson, he just kind of is along for the ride. Olson's luck's going to change eventually, though. It's just maybe not tonight. What do you think about that?
I think Kozlowski just getting a bit too aggressive early on, giving the bumper to the left rear quarter panel of Richard Elliott, and that was all she wrote for the 0-2 machine, who I'd imagine will be out of the race as a result of that massive hit. I know Paul Olson is going to having some major suspension damage as a result of all of that one, so Olson for sure out of this race, and for Richard Elliott, it will be the same. Eric Kling was also down to pit road this last time by, fixing up some damage. Same story for Joshua O'Connor as we continue to pace around under this first caution flag. Didn't even make it to lap 5 before we got this race underway.
So Eric Kling was also on pit road. Not sure, maybe he was adjusting his britches a little bit, but definitely looks like that 43 and 2 car, going to have themselves in a pretty big pickle. Now, the fortunate thing is, with this race being as long as it is, you sit pit road, and you get some damage fixed. You get quite a bit of damage fixed. Maybe get out there and turn some laps and possibly, who knows where you could finish. I don't know.
Pace car lights are off this time by. And we get set to go. Back green flag racing here for the Trader Joe's 250 at the Texas Motor Speedway. If you are just joining us, welcome to the show. My name is Noel Rampo with Alfonso Nixon in the broadcast booth. Rob Melnick down behind the cameras for tonight's race. The caution came when one out Kozlowski turned Richard Elliott out of turn 4, and that caused Elliott to spin through the infield grass and back up on track right into the path of Paul Olson, just coming to the conclusion of that opening caution that happened just back on lap number 4. So it's Severa from Schaffner. Second row holds Avery and Kozlowski. Third row holds Adrian Watts and Wayne Grossi. So we'll have to keep an eye on all of these drivers here within this pack, as I think a lot of guys were showing they're willing to get the elbows out early on.
And yeah, definitely, that's exactly what I think you got to do. Well, we did make it at least 5 laps without a caution, so hopefully we can go another 12 maybe before I think we'll see another one. What are you gambling on?
Well, I have to say, can't exactly be sure. We'll just have to wait and see, really, how this race plays out as time goes along. Of course, they're not going to have to stop for fuel throughout the first or the entirety of this first stage, so that should make pit strategies at least quite easy. Green flag drops. It's an early launch from Chris Severa. Schaffner already clear for second from Don Avery and cuts across before they even get past the start-finish line. Avery slots in line for third with Kozlowski fourth, Grossi fifth to round out the field as we thunder it back down through 1 and 2.
Yeah, that Bucky's car seemed to got a little bit out of line there as we got on that restart, the 92 car. A Barrick uphold. So it seemed like he either checked up or maybe goosed it a little bit too much, but that kind of threw him off a little bit on the restart, but we'll see how he makes up the pace.
I think trying to anticipate the race start a little bit. I saw him accelerate before the leaders did, so Barrick Uphold tried to jump the restart. Didn't quite work out so well for him, but he'll be able to use that draft to pull himself up to this front pack, which is going side by side into turn number 3 with Don Avery now stuck on the high side with Chris Johnson down low. Adrian Watts also blowing past. So Kozlowski now up to third, trying to chase down the top 2, which remain unchanged from the start of this race. And in fact, those are the only 2 positions at the moment that have remained stagnant from the drop of the green flag about 10 laps ago. But how aggressive the field is behind them, I can tell you right now, well, it's not going to stay that way for long.
Yeah, absolutely. But, Severa's he's right there where he wants to be. I mean, this guy, I think he probably doesn't even understand how it feels to follow because he seems to be out front so much. But what you're going to find is guys behind him, they're going to be trying to, you'll see them bobbing and weaving, they're going to try to break up that slipstream a little bit. But I am interested to see how long before guys start to put the hammer down, though, to walk out in this lead pack.
Already you can see Chris Severa looking to go low through turns 3 and 4, trying to defend the inside line down these straightaways, doing what he needs to do, right? Trying to get this whole thing sorted for him, but it is not going to be a very easy task. Josh Schaffner taking a bit of a more arcing line to the corners. That helps him to maximize his corner exit, and now with a huge run on Severa, will there be a move made into 3? Opts to back out. Think a big picture here for that number 50 Premier Racing Setup Shops Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. Wayne Grossi, meanwhile, falling back a couple of spots in this one. He is now down to 6th place in this field as he got muscled out of line by Chris Johnson. Adrian Watts passed him up as well in turn 3. So Grossi tucked in line just behind your top 6. You've got the top 8 all running in one big pack up in front here. There you got 9th on back to the 14th place as well, with everybody else just kind of running by their lonesome in behind. So 2 major trains. And so far, this still means it's going to be a pretty tight battle for the race lead all the way up to the stage's conclusion.
Yeah, and so we'll see exactly what happens when you get out of line. Grassi gets out of line, he gets shuffled back. And you hope that you can find your way to get back in line, because if you lose that freight train, you'll find yourself falling off. And if you look at that second pack, so these guys are running 2 wide, 2 abreast, and if you don't get one behind another, you're just going to find it harder and harder to catch that lead pack.
And coming around through the front straightaway to conclude lap 14 this time by. Coming up on 20 to go as John Mullins gets muscled up and wide by Frank Flores, nearly getting turned by the 28 shake and bake driver at a huge head of steam. Entering turn 1, Flores backed off though and allowed Mullins some space, some extra breather room to work with. That's allowed Jay Hone and Kenny Powell to break away slightly, with 9th and 10th just in front of this group. They're still trying to see if they can catch the draft. Barrick Uphold, who is just about 3/4 of a second up the road from them for the time being. So you got Uphold starting to lose touch a little bit with that leading pack up there. You can already see the gap starting to develop, right? About 0.7 of a second up to Avery. Another second from Uphold back to Kenny Powell. So at the moment, I'd imagine Uphold is just trying to stick within the tail end of this draft, but making sure as well that he is able to stay far enough back that he can also avoid an incident should another one develop before the conclusion of stage 1 here.
Yeah, definitely, because you don't know if that incident is going to happen at the front of the pack or the back of the pack. So what will happen is guys start to get into the second part of their setup. I think once these tires have over, generally 16 to 20 laps, it's a different kind of feeling car. It gets a little loose on you, and you kind of got to wait on it to come back, and I think that's where we're at right now. So we'll be interested to see how these guys muscle through this different phase of these tires.
And up in that battle for the race lead, you can see Josh Schaffner having to lift off. He loses a lot of time, and that is going to make it a G&G 1, 2, 3. And as we have seen before, Al, that is a very powerful trio that is almost impossible to knock off once they get up in front. If there are ever 2 teams that you don't want to have a 1, 2, 3 lockout for the podium spots, those 2 teams are either Gas and Go or Frontline. But with Frontline not having nearly as big of a presence in the Tucson Sound Art Cup Series that they do in the Butt Kicker Cup Series, G&G, they are the Goliaths that these teams just in behind have got to try to work to get around. And right now, Adrian Watts does not have his teammate Richard Elliott to help him out, so he's got to rely on outsiders like Wayne Grossi to help work his way up through this field, as Chris Johnson is going to lose third here to the 08 into turn 3, and now Alcazar's cutting across. Oh, this contact! Oh, it wants to set up hard to the outside wall out of turn 4. One driver scrambling into the infield grass. Chris Johnson still trying to save it in the grass with number 48 car launching his vehicle over the access roads, and they're still almost wrecking into turn number 1. Complete pandemonium amongst the field into turn number 1, and overall they just managed to escape that with no yellow.
Complete pandemonium is the exact word. Is all of a sudden everybody gets loose. And like I said, that wasn't even netcode. These guys are driving it. They're putting it in there. It's like they're going to go ahead and make sure that every stage of this race, every lap's going to be action-packed.
This is absolutely thrilling stuff, and now, with all of that being said, the top 3 have broken away from each other, and that leaves it a 4-car battle, really, from 4th place on back to about 8th, and Schaffner just lost out on a lot of spots. So it's Barrick Uphold heading up a train of 5 at the moment, with Don Avery just tucked in behind, and Uphold trying to hold on to whatever spots he can get, with 14 laps left to go now in this opening stage here. Of course, coming to the conclusion of lap number 35 is when we'll be seeing that first caution flag being flown for stage number 1 on the night. I know Adrian Watts had to come down pit road, get damage fixed. That is no surprise to me, considering how much damage he got from that hard smack to the outside wall out of turn 4 on the front straightaway.
Now, Josh Schaffner is either Josh is telling us something about his setup, or something is going on with his car, because he's off the pace a little bit. And I'm wondering if that's a result of maybe maybe he's used up his tires, but as we're only 23 laps into this thing and we've already had 1 caution, it doesn't seem like tire wear should be a factor right now, right?
You would think not, but tire wear can play a pretty significant factor in how these races play out. We saw it play a big role in how the race on Thursday night play out as Uphold loses 2 spots to that of Avery and Powell. So the pressure going to certainly start to mount, especially as the tires start to fall further and further away and get closer and closer to those very critical competition cautions at the end of stage number 1. Schaffner just behind this train trying to make a move on John Mullins up in a 3. That is going to be no success, though, for the number 50 of the 64. Continues to pull around, and apart from this battle, the top 3 have also managed to close in together. So Kozlowski, Grassi, Severa all running in a 3-car tandem at the moment through turn 1, and you have to wonder how long it'll be before those 3 start to battle it out amongst themselves.
That's exactly what I was wondering, Nolan, because we're not getting any more time and we're not making any more laps. So as we start to get down in this thing, Wayne Grassi, someone who's had, Wayne's had some pretty bad luck here in this series. So I'm thinking he's going to try to put himself in a position for a stage win. He's just waiting on his time right there as Chris Severa gets ready to put the nose of that 62 Aflac car on the inside. He's going to challenge Gassi for the 2nd place position. Looks like Wayne's going to let that go with little to no fight.
And Severa just had the better run through 1 and 2, and that allowed Grassi to be able to fall back to 3rd, but he's still tucked in with his train, still has the potential to go for a move before stage 1 comes to a close. 9 laps to go in this opening stage on the night for the Trader Joe's 250, and now Kozlowski washing wide, and that's going to open up the door for teammate Severa to punch his ticket through into the race lead. How about Kozlowski defending against his teammate there and forced the 62 all the way down to the white line towards the apron? Didn't expect to see that kind of racing from GNG teammates. Remember, Frontline 1 week ago, they were so good on working together, and it kept the likes of Al Kozlowski from being able to take a race win away. And all of this could leave Wayne Grassi able to split the GNG cars to knock out a GNG 1-2 from stage 1.
And I think that was more what was actually going on. I think it was more of them trying to close that door to keep Grassi from getting in between them. But Grassi out there, he is definitely going to, like I said, he is going to put himself in a position to at least try to get a stage win. Like you said, I think he's just biding his time and he's lining up and he's just waiting to strike. But these guys got to be really happy that they got this stage caution coming in. It probably couldn't come soon enough for a lot of them.
Further in behind, Uphold is still under fire as well from the likes of Josh Schaffner down the back straightaway, as Schaffner will pick up the 6th position for the number 92 Bucky's Ford Mustang for the Shake and Bake crew. John Mullins, you see, just in behind as well, trying to see if he can potentially make up another spot and pick up one more stage point for P7 as well. Jay Hone was hanging on to the back of this train. He has since dropped off, leaving it really a 5-car train for the time being. Coming around through turns 1 and 2 as I see Grassi up the road, trying to make another look around for a second off the inside of Kozlowski.
Roger, Richard Elliott is actually back on the track with that number 2 Camry. He looks like he's going to try to get him some laps in. They must have got quite a bit of damage repaired.
It's hardly a surprise for me. He did get drilled on just the 4th lap of this race by Paul Olsen, who has since retired from this race. Elliott is 23 laps down so far, so definitely just a kind of on a recovery drive for the time being, and I would imagine looking to see if maybe he can just pick up a few spots by drivers dropping out of this race as time goes along. 4 laps to go in stage number 1, and Kenny Powell now looking a bit antsy on Don Avery, trying to make a move on that number 11 machine up into turn 1, and Powell's gonna send one down the inside of the V-Drums Toyota Camry up into turn number 1. So the two Camrys looking to do battle side by side out of 2 down the back straightaway.
And Wayne Grassi's just biding his time right now as he's putting a little bit more time between himself and Al Kozlowski and starting to try to close that door a little bit on Chris Severa as we get ready to end this first stage.
3 laps left to go, and it is worth noting that as soon as Grassi pulls alongside with Severa, that is just going to reel Kozlowski right back into the fray. This battle for the stage 1 win, not over by any stretch of the means, and already you can see how tires are starting to kick in particular turns 1 and 2, with all 3 drivers having to back it up to about 160 miles an hour. For comparison, still flying through 3 and 4 at 173 miles an hour, which is just about 8 miles an hour under the top speeds that these guys can hit down the straightaways. 2 to go, pit road is closed.
Yeah, now you're going to see that arc, because if you're coming off 1 and 2 and you just got the right arc, you can actually get a heck of a run going down that backstretch. And I think that's what Grossi's going to do. I think he's going to try to get to the inside, break up that area, and then try to slingshot around the outside as we come out of turn 4, sorry.
And it'll be 1 lap left to go here from the Texas Motor Speedway in stage number 1 for the Trader Joe's 250, and Chris Severa on a charge, trying to make this one stick and keep Wayne Grossi behind him. Grossi's going to have one more chance down in the turn number 3 to try to take a stage 1 win away, but it looks like that will not be the case. Grossi can't get there, and now Severa's just got to keep it pinned on the bottom side. Coming around through turn number 4, Grossi's closing in, not fast enough, and that will mean Chris Severa wins the opening stage from Texas.
So Chris Severa is first place, Wayne Grossi second, Alska Slowski in third, Kenny Powell in fourth, Josh Schaffner fifth, Barrett Uphold sixth, Don Avery seventh, John Mullins eighth, Jay Hone ninth, and Chris Johnson rounding out your top 10 as we complete stage 1 in the Trader Joe's 250.
And with that, let's take a quick step away. We'll be back with more in stage number 2 in just a few moments.
There are moments that surprise and delight the mind and the senses. Introducing Sound Art, the world's first truly customizable, concealed, flat panel art speaker system. A revolutionary combination of incredible sound delivered from your most meaningful pictures. When art and technology intersect, there is a seamless blend of creativity and function.
I'm alive in the streetlight, pulling at the stars in the moonlight. Every time I feel you close.
With Sound Art, anyone can print their own artwork or pick from numerous licensed artwork that we have. The possibilities are limitless. Enjoy beautiful and amazing sound throughout your home. The entire surface of your artwork generates incredibly robust sound. Your art never sounded so good.
At Trader Joe's, we do things a little differently, and our customers hold us to a very high standard. This is Dan Bain of Trader Joe's. We work hard to live up to the high standard you've come to expect of us. We travel the world to bring you unique, exciting, exotic products, as well as the basics like milk, eggs, and butter, all at the very best prices every day. We also believe that a satisfying shopping experience is about more than just good products. We want you to enjoy shopping at Trader Joe's. The upbeat crew members, the samples of wonderful food served up by our great demo crew, so you'll come back often and bring your family and friends too. And how's this for unique? We're so confident that you'll be happy with the products you find at Trader Joe's, we even have a distinctive guarantee. We've tried it and we liked it, but if you don't, just bring it back for a full refund. Thanks for listening.
Back live for the Trader Joe 250 here from the Texas Motor Speedway for round number 4 of the Irish and Stock Car Association Tucson Sound Art Cup Series. Why don't we bring up your stage 1 winner so far on the night? Chris Severa now joins us up in the broadcast booth. And Chris, it was a very hectic stage 1, and one that I think you were kind of held with all of those struggles from 4th on back that made it only a 3-car battle that you had to worry about in those dying laps of the opening stage.
Yeah, I'm just glad we were able to start out front here and just to avoid all that. Obviously, you were able to see towards the end there how much clean air actually matters here. So, yeah, that's the big priority, is just keep the left front in the clean air.
And just like Thursday so far, this has been one of the most intense mile-and-a-half races that we have seen yet on this season. And no doubt it's going to be similar to what we've been seeing so far throughout the course of this race. Do you have any kind of plan of action to keep all of these guys behind you? Because you know they're all going to be hungry.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to hold the bottom real good, and I'm going to turn left some.
Hold the bottom real good, turn left some. I think that's a very good philosophy that a lot of people would want to live by when it comes to a track like this. Want to talk about the battle you had with Al Kozlowski a little while ago. We were not expecting to see all the GMG teams battling quite so hard. Are you guys kind of taking a more of an every man for themselves approach tonight?
I think we were once we kind of just got to the three of us. I think Al was just trying to get into the gap that was behind me. I don't think he noticed he was side drafting me down the back, but yeah, I think he was just trying to fill that gap in between me and Wayne.
Well, hopefully you'll be able to have some better, well, I should say some calmer action for yourself out in the front of this field throughout stage number 2, up to the conclusion of lap number 70. Before I let you go, then here, Chris, anybody you'd like to shout out for that GNG 62?
Just you guys every week, man, for doing what you do, putting on the broadcast. Appreciate being able to run out here. Everybody at G&G worked, put this set on together. We had to take a lot of big swings from the base that we started with to get where we are. So I'm glad it's able to get us where we are right now, but going forward, we're going to take everything one step at a time. So.
And thank you, Chris, for being able to take the time to join us up here in the broadcast booth. Congratulations on a stage 1 win. Best of luck in the second stage.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
That was Chris Rivera joining us up in the Gas and Go camp, winner of stage number 1 and starting stage 2 on pole position, just like he did for the initial start. At the moment, fun fact for you here, Al, Chris is the only driver who has so far not changed his position once from the drop of the green flag.
Well, that's exciting news, especially now that the lights are off on the pace car and we're getting ready to go racing at the start of stage 2. Don't know how many adjustments people made, if any, but this will be a great time to do so as the sun has gone down and the cars are coming to the start-finish line.
Racing under the lights at the Texas Motor Speedway, track temperatures and wind speeds remain unchanged from the start of this race. And we saw how exciting that made stage number 1. Stage 2 bound to be just as exciting, if not more so. Green flag drops. We're back underway. Ray Grassi does not get away well at all. And now under fire from the likes of Don Avery and Barrett Gutpool behind the 7 car, checking up the entire field, allowing Schaffner and Chris Rivera, to break clear by about a couple of car lengths off of turn number 2.
And Grassie's car is fast enough that he's not going to give up that track position. He's just going to make that 7 just a little bit wider because he knows he's going to be able to get the run on those 2 cars in front of him. Now, it's going to be interesting to see if Schaffner has figured out his element and if he's going to be able to keep that 50 car up front here again and put that pressure on Chris Rivera.
Rivera leads the first lap green in stage number 2. Grassi trying to look up the inside of Schaffner to turn number 1. No dice for the number 7 Chevrolet, though. He'll be put under fire from Don Avery just behind it, his number 11 Toyota Camry, with Kenny Powell trying to fight the outside line. Look behind as Barrett Gutpool starts to go on a charge. He punches his ticket back into the top 5 for about the 4th time really all night long. Gutpool's having a bit of an up and down night so far, but more often than not on the up and up as he finds himself back in the top 5 and ready to fight for some podium positions.
Yeah, so it's going to be that game of cat and mouse. You know, if you get out of line, you got to stay in that inside. The inside line is the fastest line. But if you're going to be faster than the car that's in front of you, they're going to make you pass on the outside. This is just what Rivera said. No one's giving up the inside line, not at Texas. Not going to happen, not tonight.
And look at Kenny Powell riding right off the diffuser of Barrett Gutpool in turn number 1. That's going to scare Uphold wide in turn number 1. Powell powers through on the low side. Now Texas, not really a multi-move track as Powell is put in the outside wall. Uphold turns John Mullins as well. They all wreck to the outside wall. And the 95 of Eric Kling collected as well as the big one into turn number 3. And I think that all stemmed from Kenny Powell trying to clear from Barrett Gutpool and just pushed right across the 92's nose. Was not quite clear. And that kicks off our second big wreck on the night.
Yeah, and that, I'll say it again. That was just very unfortunate because that was what we would consider a racing incident. Like I said, no one's going to give up that inside line. Barrett just got pushed out just a little bit, and when he tried to come back in, looks like Powell wasn't clear. Well, it looks like Powell wasn't clear.
Just half a bumper really was all there was between them, and Powell slapped the outside wall, and it was Kozlowski got collected in this as well. So the driver that finished third last week also collected in this big junk. So that is a big shame for a lot of these drivers. And you saw Uppel was just out of control as soon as he got into the wall with Kenny Powell, just pushed a bit too hard out of the corner. And fortunately for Powell, I mean, if you're not clear, you're not clear, and finding that one out the hard way. Avery just barely scraped around that, and it was also that scraped around the inside line. I think that might have been the likes of Frank Flores that just about got through that unscathed.
Yeah, but I don't think it was an issue with Powell. I think Powell was clear, but at some point it just seems like Uphold just kind of, whether he got sucked up into him on the draft or whatever, he just kind of closed that distance a little bit faster than he was expecting.
See the 88 car on board with Kozlowski, just about made it through, and you could see Mullins coming down, and all you really have to do at that point is just shoot for the inside and hope he can make it through. And Kozlowski just got tagged on the right rear, and got into it with Richard Elliott as well after the fact.
Yeah,
didn't expect to see that.
Looks like he got broadsided. I was just actually getting ready to say he didn't take a direct shot to the front, so it looked like he was actually pretty good. As I saw his RPMs at 1997, should be around 2,000. But then that last whack came in, and these cars just don't take good headshots.
John Mullins has pulled it down to pit road, and he will so far be our first official retirement on the night, with both Olsen and Elliott technically still in contention.
It's going to be interesting. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
It's going to be interesting to see how long Olsen does stay out there, though. I think his car is actually running more like a 1978 version of itself,
So, coming around, and hello, what's this? Chris Severa, way down low. Not sure quite what the 62 car is doing. I think he'll be a little bit bored in that number 62 half-flat machine. He won't be bored for too long. Lights still on with the pace car. Let's take a real quick step away. We'll be back in a few.
There are moments that surprise and delight the mind and the senses. Introducing Sound Art, the world's first truly customizable, concealed, flat panel art speaker system. A revolutionary combination of incredible sound delivered from your most meaningful pictures. When art and technology intersect, there is a seamless blend of creativity and function.
Come alive in the streetlight, pulling at the stars in the moonlight. Every time I feel you close.
With Sound Art, anyone can print their own artwork or pick from numerous licensed artwork that we have. The possibilities are limitless. Enjoy beautiful and amazing sound throughout your home. The entire surface of your artwork generates incredibly robust sound. Your art never sounded so good.
And as we return to the Trader Joe's 250 at the Texas Motor Speedway, lights out on the pace car. One lap left to go green. Before we go green, that is. And currently you take a look down throughout the field, and everybody back to about the 11th place. Caught up with this main pack so far. 16th place, though laps down is also in this. So got about 12 cars still with the lead pack. 13 total still on the racing surface. Make that 14 as Olsen has just left pit road. At this rate, we're not going to have too many cars left by the time we get to the end of this race, Al.
Yeah, and you've always heard Big Al say, you just have to be available towards the end of this thing in order to be able to win it. So I made that statement earlier that this race is not going to be 267 laps for everybody, because, 167 for some people it's going to be a lot shorter.
And so far, that is what it's looking like for guys like Paul Olson and Richard Elliott, who are 24, 34 laps down respectively. Not to mention Adrian Watts, 20 laps down. Barry Guppold is now 2 down. Looking like he may be out of the race before long. Mullins, of course, our first official retirement, though I'd imagine Kling is going to join him very, very soon. Pace car is down and in. And already, what's going on in the back here? Ken Allen poking his nose out of line. Same with Jay Home. They almost went 3 wide on the restart as we get things back to green at Texas.
And fighting positions, that's exactly what they're going to do, is we're going to get this thing running. I'll tell you one thing, too, is we're going to see some names that we're going to be calling as we get into the deep part of this second stage that we haven't actually had a pleasure of seeing up front a whole lot, as the majority of the big-name guys have found themselves to be laps down.
So, remember in the interview when Chris Severa was mentioning he was going to be using that inside line to just power through and keep these guys behind? How about taking inside line to a whole new level by going onto the apron right next to the inside wall? That's a whole other level of inside line commitment that you didn't think you'd see. And I mean, they could work to break the draft, but I wouldn't recommend it, because that, of course, means people don't necessarily need to let you back up because you're not going to be on the racing surface.
Yeah, but I'm interested to see what's going on, how long Schaffner's going to be here, and because he had a great run in the last stage, but then all of a sudden it seemed like he kind of burned his tires up. So I'm going to be interested to see if he's actually going to run his own race, his own pace, or if he's going to let Severa just lead him into doom again.
Top 5 have all broken away at 6th on back that are currently in these little mid-pack battles. And what you're looking at one of those now with Jay Hone trying to fight the outside of Ken Allen's number 52 Hallmark Toyota Camry through 3 and 4, and the 52 is going to push through with Kenny Powell following suit just in behind. And they're starting to catch up to 6th and 7th place here of Avery and O'Connor, while up in front, Chris Johnson making the move for 4th place around the outside line of Frank Flores. And the 28 Mustang looking to potentially have a solid go down to the turn number 3 to try to keep on to the 4th place. And all of this, you had already started to see the top 3 starting to really break away from this smaller pack here.
Yeah, and that smaller pack doesn't want to see that, because if this happens, if this same scenario unfolds in that 3rd stage, I'm afraid that pack's going to get further and further away. And you don't want to keep these guys close, at least that way once you get in the pit strategies, you'll be able to maybe make up some time, but it's harder to do if they're our way around the track on you.
And you saw Chris Johnson looking to the inside line that time. Thought about sending one up the inside of Frank Flores, but couldn't get close enough to properly commit to the move. Now that they're tucked in nose to tail, they can start to close in the draft back up to Wayne Grossi, and look at how much that 28 car is just sucked right up to the back bumper of the number 7. Then this could get crucial, though, if Johnson looks to fight it out, and looks like that's going to be the case with Chris Johnson looking for the inside line of Frank Flores through 3 and 4, this time by the 28, trying to pinch him in, but it's not going to be enough. And Chris Johnson is through to 4th. Flores tucks back in line just behind for 5th.
Joshua O'Connor's got to be really feeling good about his position here tonight. He's actually got himself up here. He's running currently 7th place. If he can actually hold it on and be able to put his team in a good position for some points here at the end of this stage.
The Regiment Camry certainly doing a good job keeping out in front, and you can see Ken Allen having to defend against Kenny Powell just in behind. Jay Hone, Robert Pattengale also in the mix of this one for stage points. Coming around to the end of stage number 2 here in about 15 laps of time. O'Connor pushing wide through 1 and 2 and loses all of those spots while up the road. You saw Powell looking at the inside of Avery trying to hold on to 5th place. Wayne Grossi in a battle with Frank Flores also for 4th. I'm going to recant my statement there and say it's Johnson fighting Grossi for 4th, with Flores trying to hold on to 5th from Don Avery, who's managed to catch the field.
Yeah, and then once you got a guide and you got him on your inside, it really kind of pushes him as we're getting into lap traffic. and these guys are having to tighten it down. So if you are just pinched a little bit more than you want to be on that line, it shrubs your speed off quite a bit. So I don't know if that's what's happening to Grassy. I don't know if he can't maybe get out a little bit higher, but he's still hiding some speed, I do believe. But Johnson's slowly trying to fight his way up here as he's in the top 5 and 4th position, getting challenging Grassy for that 3rd spot.
And Johnson trying to pinch Grassi in order to hold that 7 car on the inside line. And it's a very hard thing to do, though, right? It is not nearly as easy as if you're trying to get a run with the likes of Kansas or Atlanta, right? This is not necessarily a multi-groove racetrack, at least not in these next-gen cars for the time being. The bottom lane does tend to be the fastest way around this place, and that's just something these drivers have got to accept, which is why it's not uncommon to see some really aggressive moves being made to get to that inside line and force your opponent up high.
Yep, but these cars are fun to drive, and you just have to kind of got to power them around 1 and 2.
Avery with the shove to the back of Flores in the 3. And it's those little moments that can really start to rile up drivers in this field as Flores just now clears from Wayne Grosser for 4th place. And all that side-by-side battling has allowed that back portion of the field to close up. And so every single driver that is on the lead lap now in one long train from 1st down to 11th place. And Robert Pattengale looking on the inside now of Joshua O'Connor and the number 39 Camry. Going to try to go through and maybe fall a little bit further back and hang around at the tail end of this train for the time being.
And so now I think drivers can now kind of work their own line to try to get that speed back to kind of close Severa down. But Severa putting on a clinic, doing exactly what he said he was going to do. He's going to just go ahead and run out front and run down low and turn left. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see if anybody's going to be able to start to mount a charge as we get down to the latter portions of stage 2.
Wayne Grossi looking to throw a solid pass here down into turn number 1. Just got past Don Avery as well as Ken Ayland up into turn number 1. Trying to make a move on Chris Johnson for 3rd place now. And the number 7 is going to go with it here down into turn number 3. Trying to hold the draft of Josh Schaffner. This whole field catching Paul Olsen again. Now, this is a bit dangerous about where you catch Paul Olsen, right? He is lapping at this point in time about 4 to 5 seconds a lap slower, which just goes to show just how off pace the 43 car is as a result of all of the damage. He is hoping for a few more cautions to save him as the night goes on so he can get all that damage fixed and potentially contend for maybe a couple more spots, providing he can get back into the lead lap. But with Olsen being 36 down, I think it's safe to say that is not going to be happening for tonight. He is again on damage control. Severus continues to lead the way this entire stage. Do you reckon it'll be that way, though, come the conclusion?
Well, we've definitely seen what he can do on the short run, so it'll be definitely interesting to see what he'll be able to do on that longer run once we get to that 3rd stage when we, run a tank of gas out of these things. But it's going to be interesting because these guys are going to catch Olsen again possibly before we run at the end of this stage, and depending on where they come up with lap cars, they might find themselves in a position where if they're defending pole position, it could be 3 wide. So that's also something we get to look forward to.
This time, so they're pushing a bit wider on the exit turn number 1, and further behind, you can also see the likes of Wayne Grossi still trying to make those moves with Avery, also looking at the inside line. Ayland has been trying to work his way up through the field. That hasn't had too much success so far, and Schaffner still looking high, looking low, trying to find some kind of way through on Chris Severa just up the road from him. And now Schaffner trying to hold that inside line, and he's going to push up now, courtesy of some of that dirty air that these cars can generate. Now, of course, with the diffuser, dirty air has been minimized, but by no means eliminated. And some of the lap traffic throwing up some dirty air into the wrench of things. That's going to cause the bottom 4 of this lead train to drop off of the main pack.
Yeah, that diffuser does actually cause those cars to be affected in a different way. So as we go ahead and we start dragging this thing along, that dirty air coming off that you're talking about with worn tires gets to be a little bit of a tricky situation.
Coming to 3 laps to go in stage number 2. This time by, it'll be the conclusion of lap number 70, and this time by, still 100 laps left to go in the Trader Joe's. 250 from the Texas Motor Speedway. So just now in this next lap by, will the laps to go counter reach double digits, which just goes to show how long this race really is, which makes all this aggressive racing that much more surprising as Grossi jumps on the low side. Schaffner has to block into turn number 3. And once again, Avery has been eagerly trying to follow to help Grossi make a move, but they've never been able to properly get up the inside.
Definitely exciting racing. These guys going to continue to mix it up as we come down to the last 2 laps of this stage.
Schaffner closing on Severa, thinking about maybe trying to set up a pass, back off a little bit, and then get a solid run through. Will this be enough for Severa or for Schaffner to potentially get a stage 2 win? Only one way to find out, and well, is to observe this next 1.5 miles. Pit road has closed as of 1 lap ago, and this is the final lap in stage number 2, with Schaffner looking low through turns 1 and 2, trying to chase down Severa and go with them out of the back straightaway and down into turn number 3. Grossi has to block low against Don Avery, and Schaffner will not be able to catch Severa in time. So out of turn number 4, Severa will take both stages back to back. That's another 10 points for the number 62. And all that being said and done, it'll be Josh Schaffner in 2nd, Grossi 3rd, Avery 4th, Chris Johnson in 5th, with Ken Ayland in 6th, Flores 7th, Pattengale 8th, Hone 9th, and O'Connor rounds out the top 10. We'll take a quick step away. We'll be back in a few moments.
There are moments that surprise and delight the mind and the senses. Introducing Sound Art, the world's first truly customizable, concealed, flat panel art speaker system. A revolutionary combination of incredible sound delivered from your most meaningful pictures. When art and technology intersect, there is a seamless blend of creativity and function.
Come alive in the streetlight, pulling at the stars in the moonlight. Every time I feel you close.
With Sound Art, anyone can print their own artwork or pick from numerous licensed artwork that we have. The possibilities are limitless. Enjoy beautiful and amazing sound throughout your home. The entire surface of your artwork generates incredibly robust sound. Your art never sounded so good.
Pit stops currently underway here at the Texas Motor Speedway under this Stage 2 yellow flag, as the field of, 14 strong now has made their way down to pit road. Chris Severa came first driver into pit road after he won Stage 2, after winning Stage 1 as well, and he will also be the first one off. The second driver off pit road just behind him will be that of Josh Schaffner, who also came up 2nd place, just a little bit shy in stage number 2. We've already talked to Severa once tonight, so we'll see if we can't dial up your stage 2 runner-up. And Al, I'll hand this one down to you.
Hey, Josh, you got me?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear.
Hey, this is Big Al up here in the booth. So big difference between stage 1 and stage 2. Anything you want to share?
Yeah, it kind of similar strategy there. I was just trying to kind of hook up with Chris there and just kind of stay in front of the the potential of trouble there and work together and kind of stay 1 and 2. Didn't quite work out there in the first stage, but the second stage we executed that extremely well.
That's awesome. So you guys feeling pretty good about your car on the run so far? What do you got planned for this next run for us?
Yeah, I think probably going to be a similar strategy. I'm hoping that if we get a good restart here, Chris and both Chris's, Chris Severa and Johnson, hopefully we can just hook up and try to pace the field, and fuel strategy could become a factor here if we stay green, especially. So you might see, myself, I'm saving fuel right now. Some others probably are too, but just if it stays green, hopefully just kind of stay out of trouble, work together right around, and get through green flags, pit stops, and if we're lucky, maybe we can kind of separate ourselves from the field and sort it out amongst the G&G team here when it's all said and done.
Well, that G&G team's definitely looking pretty good. Congratulations for your second place finish. Anybody you'd like to give a shout out to?
I got to thank all my teammates here at G&G, and definitely got a shout out to the guys at Premier Racing Setups. Just got a great car this week. I've had a fast car all week, and be great to kind of cap this week off with a victory here tonight, hopefully.
Well, that's awesome. Good luck to you as we get ready for this third and final stage, man. Thank you very much for your time.
You bet. Enjoy the show up there, guys.
That was second place, Josh Schaffner in stage number 2, bringing it to us from his number 50 Premier Racing Setup Shop's number 50 car. Looks like he could find himself. He's starting second place in the field. You can see one car ahead of Chris Severa. That is Eric Kling. Just looking to get one more lap back for his number 95 G&G Toyota Camry. Running a bit of an interesting aerodynamic modification on that hood, isn't he, Al? I mean, I have to say, usually if I see a car without an engine hood, it doesn't tend to make it too much quicker, though it is good to cool the car, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I think they just sent some parts of that car already to the recycling bin. But as we get ready to go green again, looks like Kenny Powell's found his way back up on the lead lap. So thinking he got the wave around there under that last caution. So lights are off on the pace car, and here we go here pretty soon.
So at the moment, it is Severa, Schaffner, Johnson, Avery, Grossi to round out your top 5, with Ken Allen finishing off the top 3 rows. 11 cars still on the lead lap. And that will make it about 14 out of the 18 still on track. All of this being said and done, it's a bit of a sparser field compared to how it was when we started out this race, and you have to wonder how that could potentially impact how these guys approach stage 3.
Yeah, because the key right now is how healthy are you? Have you been a good boy? Have you stayed out of trouble? Is your car 100%? Now is the time to put your setup. It's like Shopner said, saving fuel. These guys are going to try to take this thing on one stop.
Pace car is into pit road, and that will take it to allow Chris Severa that we go back green flag racing for the Trader Joe's 250 from the Texas Motor Speedway down in turn number 1, and Chris Severa leads the way with Chris Johnson second, Schaffner third, Grossi fourth. Don Avery rounding out your top 5, and Avery loose out of turn number 2 as well. Down to the inside line, he manages to recover. Ken Allen also falling back just behind, but everybody able to make it out of turn number 2 safe and sound. So through turn number 3, it will be Severa to lead the way up in front.
That was a very interesting restart. It looks like Severa just drove away instead of restarted, but now the field closing in on him as Wayne Grossi comes in second place.
Already, Grossi has caught up to Chris Severa. We know Grossi can be a bit aggressive when it comes to fighting for these higher up positions if he really wants to, but you have to remember there's still a long way to go in this race. Still 89 laps when we come around this time by, which is definitely going to, shall we say, make it a bit of an interesting race, but you have to think about how much time there is left. And Chris Severa way up and too high up and into the outside wall for the 62. That could be a crucial mistake. That could cost him a race win later on with that damage now on the number 62 as Wayne Grossi goes to the race lead for the first time tonight.
Not sure what just occurred, but Grossi way off the pace, Severa way off the pace and into that wall. This is going to be an interesting turn of events for that G&G team.
I have to think that what happened to Chris Severa there was he tried to let Grossi through to set up a run, and just pushed way out of the groove, up into the marbles, and that's what sent him into the outside wall. It's such a big shame for him, and now Don Avery looks to see if he can charge for the race lead up on the bottom side. That mistake from Severa has kind of shuffled the field a little bit, especially further on back. So it could be a more difficult run for Severa to try to go for that race win if there is not another caution. So Grassi now leads from Avery, from Johnson, from Flores. Schaffner, runner-up in stage 2, rounds out the top 5.
Well, that changes the things a lot a bit. Not just a little bit, because now Don Avery, Chris Severa, maybe Severa runs away from Avery. But Grassi, Avery, I don't know how that works. Now Johnson's going to come in. Flores, this thing just found itself wide open. This is now anybody's race, because like you said, the only thing that we hadn't had so far was a lead change. And I think we just got the first of a couple more to come. Let's see what happens.
You saw Frank Flores clearing around Chris Johnson out of turn number 2. So the number 28 car finding some real form tonight, and now up into the podium positions. We don't often see the shake and bake drivers this far up the grid, but I'm sure they are not going to be complaining at all, and this could prove to be a very crucial run here. As further in the back, we watch Severa continuing to drop back as Hone gets around him for 10th.
Yeah, Severa hit that wall pretty hard, and he's definitely got some extensive right front damage on that car, and that is definitely, unfortunately, going to affect him, especially at the Texas one.
Up in front for second place, Flores looked to the inside of Don Avery, not able to throw a set up the inside of the number 11 Toyota Camry, so he'll hang with it. Out of turn number 2 this time by, and if you come around through turns 3 and 4, that will be halfway this time by. 83 down and 83 laps left to go here from the Trader Joe's 250. So let's take a quick Tucson Sound Art midway race break. It is Wayne Grassi up in first place with Don Avery in second as we go through the field. Frank Flores is down in third with Chris Johnson running in fourth, trying to close up to the podium drivers. Josh Schaffner still sitting in fifth place, been top 5 in both stages so far. Ken Allen sits in 6th, and it's Kenny Powell down in 7th. How about Robert Pattengale in 8th? Jay Hone is 9th, and Joshua O'Connor deeper in the field rounds out top 10 out.
Chris Severa is going to be in 11th with Al Kozlowski, the first driver, just 4 laps down. Eric Kling is in 13th with John Mullins in 14th. Paul Olsen, 15th. Barrett Uphold, 16th. Adrian Watts and Richard Elliott will round out the field.
And of course, that was the Tucson Sound Art midway race break. Tucson Sound Art introduces an entirely new and enjoyable way to listen to music in your own home. Upgrading and making your own images and pictures into sound art is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Everyone who looks at the picture will wonder where the great sound is coming from. A single charge will last days and gives you the ability to go truly wireless with no power cables. Sound art looks good in any room in the house, from the front room to the back room. The speakers are powered by batteries and receive audio via a Bluetooth connection, meaning nobody will even know that the art they are looking at is actually coming from the artwork that they are looking at. So Tucson Sound specializes in creating custom artwork from your personal artwork and photos, or you can choose images from their expansive collection of high-quality photos. It's the perfect gift for friends, family, and business associates. To learn more, visit www.tucsonsoundart.com. So as we start to enter the second half of this race, I think it's about time we start discussing pit strategy for realistically the first time all night long, as Flores up to second place. And I tell you what, this is where it's going to get interesting, right? 46 laps is the estimated distance these guys can run on fuel. And so far, they've been out there for 15 laps on this run, so we're expecting them to be going for about another 30 laps or so yet before this rate, before we see them coming on down pit road. That'll put them with about 49 laps left to go. So if this goes green, this will be a fuel mileage race.
Yeah, Schaffner said that he was saving fuel, and you know, lots of others were as well. This is now a pit strategy, fuel strategy race. But, you know, as soon as one caution comes out, that whole thing goes out the window. So we're just going to hope that we can keep this thing going green and have ourselves some awesome green flag pit stops, because every week I get excited about green flag pit stops, because that's where you're going to win and lose the race, Nolan. You're going to win and lose this race on pit road.
And you have to wonder at the moment how aggressive these guys are being at the moment, right? I mean, so far, it's been a bit of a relatively calm run in this third stage. You've seen a couple of overtakes here or there. Nothing too crazy, though, and I have a feeling that it was all of that carnage in the opening two stages that has somewhat convinced the remaining drivers to just calm it down a little, get yourself settled down and make sure you can still be there for the end of this race. It's at the top 5 for the first train, and then it's 6th on back to the 11th position, which, as it so happens, is the last car on the lead lap, and the last up-to-speed car as well, deeper in this field. So who knows just how this could play out, and obviously, a caution at any point could throw everything up in the air when it comes to strategy.
Yeah, these guys right now, they're just filling each other out, because as these guys start to run longer green flag pit stops, it's not just a matter of wearing your stuff out. It's about trying to get into that race rhythm, get into your rhythm, so you can make it around this track without having to live, to try to run as consistent laps as possible and be able to keep that lead pack in sight. So I think right now everybody's just kind of buckling in and just saving fuel for the long haul.
Up in second place, looks like Frank Flores' reign in second has come to a close as Don Avery pushes his way through back into P number 2. Flores down to third, but not going to get freight trained by any of the others, as Flores able to tuck in line between Don Avery and Chris Johnson. So once again, drivers being a little bit more patient here so far. Nobody making any super aggressive moves for the time being. Wayne Grossi continues to lead the way. I believe at this point in time, he's had to have led, I believe, like the second most amount of laps out of anybody so far today in this race. And you have to wonder if that's because some of the guys behind might be trying to use them with that powerful draft to save a little bit.
Either that or that setup that those guys are running is just really dialed in. But, you want to be up front. You want that good air. And I don't think Grossi wants to give that position up at all to look at that from Don Avery's rear view. I think he's going to stay out front. That's going to be his plan, and maybe to kind of close the gap a little bit closer with pit strategies. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, who really knows at this point, right? I mean, this could really go just about anybody's way as this race continues to develop. And at this point, you see the pack even starting to split apart a little bit as everybody starts to run into their own little lines, as tire wear especially really starts to kick on in, and that is in turn sort of drawing the second train closer, I want to say, but at the same time that second train is starting to split apart as well. But I think at the moment, one of the highlights of this race is that both shake and bake drivers so far, that's 2 out of the 3 that started this race, that is, are up in the top 10, which has not, shall we say, been something that is a very common sight to see recently. Of course, they were doing really well in the very first season that this series was present, but that was more due to part of the lower grid size. When you consider you got a lot of guys like a champion of Chris Johnson and really fast contenders like Rossi as well as Schaffner in the mix of this, the fact that you got some of those guys that we're not used to seeing running up in the front, running up front, not by fluke, mind you, but so unbelievably consistently, I think just goes to show that those shake and bake drivers really have got this place dialed in.
Yeah, well, Flores and Pattingill, they're definitely due a break. Like you said, it's also, this race we're going to be talking about some drivers that we normally don't get a chance to talk about, because unfortunately, a couple bad wrecks have taken out some of the bigger names and put them on the bottom end of the board. But that has definitely got to make those guys feel pretty good, coming in here. Hopefully they got enough laps in and they'll be able to kind of find a little bit more speed at the end of this thing, even get together maybe. And, who knows? I'd love to see a second take 1 and 2 maybe.
Riding on board with Don Avery, +3 for the number 11 car on the day, and also one of the faster drivers you've had so far today as well. Has set the 4th fastest lap of this race so far. Fastest one set by the driver a few spots behind, Josh Schaffner in 5th. He holds the fastest lap with a 29.478 so far today.
Yeah, 29.478 around this track. That's kind of moving out a little bit. You know, then now we just fast forward to the fastest lap of that. The fastest time of that last lap was 30.244. So you can see how much those tires are falling off.
So Avery continues to try to close up the gap to Ingrassi, and you can see just in behind Flores and Johnson battling for the final podium position as well. And that is going to tuck Flores in right between Schaffner and Johnson, and that was a bit tight in the battle for 4th place, as now Frank Flores starting to drop back. I think might have burned all of his stuff up early on as he's starting to slip further and further back in this train. You see already Ken Allen looking to close the gap as well, and that's something we haven't really discussed a whole lot, right? About some of these guys that we don't usually see up in front here. How much are they really just burning their stuff up and not conserving too much for the long run? Caution flag flies as Al Kozlowski, slow on the apron in turn 3, I believe, was the cause of our latest yellow flag as coasting around to pit road. So that will put us under caution flags, and like I said, one caution will throw a wrench into the works for everybody.
Yeah, that caution is going to probably work best for Chris Severa because it'll give him an opportunity to come in and get some much-needed repairs on pit road. But for everybody else, I think it's just too soon. I just don't think it's time yet, you know. So even if you do come in, I don't know. What are you coming in or are you staying out?
At the moment, I would imagine you would come in, right? I mean, there's no point in you staying out. You've been out there for 30 laps as it is. You're going to have to pit again anyway, even if you stay out. You may as well.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Go get another set of freshies because, yeah, we were way down on the lap time. So, much needed caution for a lot of people. That's couldn't have probably come at a better time.
We saw it on the replay. Just losing power and blew the motor through turn 2. He tried to coast it around through 3 and 4, and being that slow on the track, though, is what brought out our yellow flag on the night. So with pit stops currently underway, why don't we talk to one of the drivers who hasn't, shall we say, had things go quite his way so far today. Bear Gutpold, part of the Shake and Bake crew that has been very successful so far in tonight's race. But unfortunately, Bear, things ended a bit prematurely for you tonight after a collision early on. Why don't you walk us through what it looked like from your end?
Yeah, I took the high side, and I think it was Kenny that was down low, and I just don't think he was quite clear when he came up to try to clear me at the wall, but yeah, I kind of got bounced into the wall, and it was kind of a ping pong ball after that, so sucks.
Well, overall, I mean, despite that the struggles for yourself, I mean, your team as a whole has been doing a phenomenal job so far today. I mean, you've been noticing Frank Flores running up 3rd, 2nd place. Pattengill's been in the top 10 for a good portion of this 3rd stage so far. Do you think that bodes well for a good finishing position for the team later on?
Yeah, for sure. It's looking real good. You know, we had a real good setup put together, and car feels awesome, and it's really good on the long runs. So I think this is going to be the stage that you see it shine.
And overall, I mean, around the Texas Motor Speedway, it's by far one of the most unique mile-and-a-halfs, but the racing we've seen today is so different, even compared to some of the other 1.5-mile tracks we've been to so far this season. What do you think it is about this track that kind of really sets it apart from anything else?
It's real tough to pass. You get these huge runs, specifically going into 3 and 4 and about midway through the front stretch. You get these real big runs, and you either kind of have to rough somebody up almost to get past them. You really got to squeeze your nose in there, or you got to really try to, slide them on, coming out of turn 2. If you get a good run low, you can slide up, and I mean, that's kind of the incident that happened to me. So yeah, it's just, it's real tough racing, real tough to pass, but I think it's best to just be patient, and once the tires wear down a little bit, you can start making a little more moves.
And well, of course, it's always good getting these little insights from you from time to time here at Barry. But before I let you go, who'd you like to shout out for that number 92 Shake and Bake machine?
Oh, just the team, Frank Flores and Robert Patgo. Hopefully they keep doing good out there, and that's about it.
Thank you, Barry, for taking the time out of your night to come up and join us. Sorry for the bad luck today here at Texas, but hopefully you'll be seeing some more success next week in Gateway.
Hopefully. I'll see you guys later.
That was Barry Cutpole from the Shake and Bake crew, finding himself out of the race about 58 laps ago after tangling with Kenny Powell all the way back in just the second stage of this race. Pace car lights are out. We're 1 to green here. And as to be expected here, Al, pretty much everybody came down to pit road to take fresh tires and fuel. That is of no surprise. And you look around at some of the guys out there on track, and at this point, we are down to just the 11 guys that are on the lead lap. With no lap traffic to contend with, I'd imagine that's going to open up the possibility for this battle significantly.
That is going to significantly change things indeed, because it's going to be clear to go for the rest of the way. They're only going to be in their own way. So good luck, drivers. So let's see what we can do with this thing. Chris Vera definitely was able to get a lot of damage fixed on his cars. He had almost, 38.6 pit stop. So now that he's back and healthy, be interesting to see how that 62 Ford gets running. Because I think if he can find his way back up to the front, that's going to put things, make it even a little bit more interesting. Even though there's only 11 cars on the lead lap, I think it's still going to be a lot of action-packed racing left.
Still with still one full pit cycle left to go in this race, as well as we get ready to get this race back underway from the Texas Motor Speedway. Chris Johnson takes us back to the green flag as Don Avery gets away well. Once again, Wayne Gross got napping on the start, cutting across Frank Flores on the bottom side, and just going to tuck his way into third. And already Avery muscling Chris Johnson out wide, down the back straightaway. Don Avery's trying to go for the race lead now through 3 and 4. And the number 11 car is going to be through and to the point. And Flores already punching his way back up into third place, as well as we get this race back underway with 61 laps left to go now.
And everybody's excited because they got a brand new set of Goodyear. So now we're going to see what happens. Do you go back out there and burn them down again? So you find yourself all the way off the pace, or you kind of go out there and kind of take it easy and kind of stretch out your fuel mileage? Because if this thing goes green, what are we looking at? How many laps are we looking at before guys will actually have to, if they even split it up, they're still looking at 35, 40 laps before pit cycle.
The way it's looking at the moment, these guys are going to have to pit with about 16 laps left to go in this race. So I think a splash and go and potentially 4 tires is definitely going to be the strategy for a lot of drivers if they run this out to the end. Grossi up the inside of Don Avery down the back straightaway. So the number 7 car wanted to take that lead back early. He's going to go to the point and allow Avery to jump back in line. Flores clear for third as the field fans out behind out of turn number 4, with Chris Johnson having to keep O'Connor at bay out of turn number 4.